Hi everyone and welcome to our video tutorial for this reindeer cat hat. So we hope you enjoy it. Please like, share and subscribe and we hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye. Okay, to make this reindeer cat hat you'll need some yarn in a couple of colours. I've got this one here. It's a 2 to 3 weight wool acrylic blend. I'm going to use this colour as my main reindeer colour, so for the hat, for the around the ears and the ties, and then this one I'm going to use for the antlers. So it's a kind of a maroon colour. It's kind of a bit non-traditional for a reindeer colours, but you know you can use whatever colours you like. You're probably looking at a light brown or a beige or even a cream for the main part, and then a slightly darker colour for the antlers. For the inside of the ears, it's a good idea to have some light pink, although it's not, that's optional. I think it looks better with a little bit of light pink on the inside of the ears. You'll need a crochet hook or hooks to correspond to your yarn. I'm going to use 5mm for the main hat, and then I'm going to use a 4mm for the antlers and the ears. You'll need a darning needle to weave in your ends, and I'm going to use this curved needle to sew my antlers and my ears to the main part of the hat. You'll need some scissors to snip your ends, and tape measure is optional, but it's a good idea to have a general idea of how big your cat's head is. If your cat is with you, you can try on the hat as you go, but this pattern is actually relatively easy to fit. So, tape measure is optional. It's always a good idea to have some, measurements from your cat. So, yeah, if you've got tape measure handy, that's a good idea. Okay, so here's one that I've made previously, and we'll be making this in different sections. So we'll be making the main part of the hat, the ears, the antlers, and then, in whatever order you want, and some ties. So to make the main part of the hat, you'll need to know how to make a magic ring, how to double crochet, how to make a chain, how to single crochet, how to slip stitch, and an option for a triple crochet row in there if you want it, but that's just optional. If you have an understanding of how to increase in the round, that will be helpful. From there, the ties are just a simple braid that will just tie on to each corner and will tie at the end. Okay, make these little tassels. The ears, you'll need to know how to slip knot onto your hook, how to create a chain, how to single crochet, triple crochet and double crochet, and how to change colours in the ears. The antlers are an amigurumi technique, so you'll need to know how to make a magic ring, how to single crochet decrease, and then from there that's pretty much it. Yeah, you'll be attaching these two parts together around here. And then the main thing after that is sewing the pieces to the main part of the hat and weaving in ends, if I didn't mention that. Yeah, so it's definitely beginner friendly. It's perhaps towards the, intermediate beginner range, but none of these techniques are out of the reach of a beginner. So, give it a go. I think this is a super cute idea for the festive or winter season. So, yeah, let's get started. Okay, so start off with your main colour and make a magic ring. So just a reminder, I don't run through the techniques and stitches in any great detail in my tutorial, so if you need to brush up on any techniques, then check out another YouTube video or any resource that you've got to just to brush up on those techniques. Okay, so we're going to chain 2 here, and then we're going to place 12 double crochets into the magic ring. Now our first chain will count as a stitch, so we're going to add 11 more double crochets into the ring. So you go ahead and finish that off. I'll finish that off camera. So yeah, so just remember to count your chain as a stitch, and then you'll do 11 more double crochets into your ring. Okay, so I've got my 12 double crochets in my magic ring there, and then I'm just going to pull the magic ring closed and make a slip stitch into the top of your chain to join that round. So that's round 1. And we're going to chain 2, and that counts as a stitch. And then we're going to place a double crochet back into that same space as the chain. And then in each stitch we're going to place 2 double crochets. So we're just basically increasing in the round, just a simple increase in the round. So at the end of this round you'll have 24 stitches including your chain. So go ahead and place 2 double crochets in each of your stitches, and I'll meet you back around here. Okay, so I'm just placing my last 2 double crochets into that final stitch, and then we'll slip stitch into the top of our chain as before. And that's round 2. Okay, so we're going to continue increasing in the round once more, at least once more. So chain 2, and then place a double crochet just underneath the chain. So that's 2 double crochets. In the next stitch, 1 double crochet. In the next, 2 double crochets. And then in the next, in the next 1 double crochet. So you can see we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. So 2, 1, 2, 1. So repeat that all the way around, and you'll at the end of this round have 36 stitches. Okay, so I'm just placing my last double crochet in that last stitch. So you should end on a 1 double crochet, and then slip stitch to join. Okay, so depending on the hook size that you're using and the yarn and the size of your cat, you may want to go for 1 more round, but I'm stopping here. And just to give you an idea of the diameter I've got is, that way, I've got about 10 centimeters diameter there, so probably around, around the 10 centimeter mark. Depending, if you've got an extra large cat, then you might want to go for an extra round. And if you have a kitten or a small cat, you maybe don't even need this 3rd round. Okay, so you've got to check that. So that's got what's going to be sitting at the back of the cat's head. Okay, so we've made this part here, and now we're going to start with the ear holes. Okay, so chain 2, and then we're going to place, so that counts as your first stitch. We're just going to place 1 double crochet in the next 5 stitches, so a total of 6 stitches. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 more, 6. Okay, so this, if you've got 36 stitches, this is how it's going to work. Okay, so we've got our 6 here. Maybe I'll show you on my other one just to give you the context. So we've got actually it starts down here. So we'll have the 6 here. We're going to skip 6 and chain 10 to create this first ear hole. We've got 6 more across here. Skip 6, chain 10 for the second ear hole, and then we've got 6 here, and then we're skipping this amount for the back of the neck. Okay, so we don't need it, so it sits down at the back of the neck. We don't need to cover that area. Okay, so chain your 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then you'll skip your 6, or you can skip a little bit extra if you want to make bigger ear holes. So actually what I should mention here is if you need extra big ear holes, then you can make this round triple crochet, so it gives you just that little bit of extra height. Okay, I don't need to do it for the yarn and the hook size that I'm using, but you've got that option. Okay, so when I make these patterns for you, I would rather that you tailor it to your own cat. Okay, so I've got, you know, Melba's size, and I've got the yarn and the hook size I'm using, but you've got these little things that you can do to tailor it to your own cat size. So yeah, option to use triple crochets in this round. Okay, so we've got our 10, and we're going to skip 6, or or more. If you want to skip more, you can chain more and skip more if you want to. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to place my next double crochet in that 7th stitch. Okay, so we've got our first ear hole there, and then I've got 5 more double crochets to add here. So if you've gone for an extra round, we'll come back and we'll talk about that, how to do that in a moment. But we'll just finish this one off. I'm kind of assuming that most of you, if you're going a similar hook size, a similar yarn size to me, you'll only need 3 rounds here. So I'm showing you what we do for this 4th round if we've only got 3 rounds here. Okay, so we've done our 6. We've got to make our next ear hole. So chain 10, or however many you want to chain there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then we're going to skip another 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, hang on. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so into that 7th, our first double crochet in this little set, and then 5 more double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that makes a total of 6. Okay, so that's what we've got there now. So we've got our little ear holes, okay, and we've got this little area here that's open for the neck. Okay, so just to if you've gone for an extra round in this area here, so you've got an extra big cat, or you're using very fine yarn or a much smaller hook than me, then you would have these sections as 8. So 8 here, skip 8, and you would maybe chain 12 here. 8, skip 8, chain 12, and then 8. Okay, so yeah, you can work this to to tailor the pattern to your own cat, and then you would have the same, you'd have an area left at the back for the neck. Okay, so yeah, and if you did it with this if you'd only done the first 2 rounds for your cat's head, then you would do 4 sets of 4. Okay, so 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, and then maybe you would chain, say, 6 or 8. Okay, so I kind of have to leave you to work out those sort of calculations and dimensions on your own, according to all of those variables: yarn size, hook size, and cat size. Okay, so we're going to continue on, and we'll chain our 2 and turn. And now we're just going to work 1 double crochet. So count your chain as that first stitch. And then we're just going to place 1 double crochet in each of those stitches. And then in each of the chains. So you can work just into the chain space if you want to, which is what I did here. So I placed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, well, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I placed 10, and you know, you could adjust that, but you probably want to place the same number as you chain. So you can either work into the chain, which is what I might do for this one, or you can work into the actual chain space. Okay, so I'm going to work into the chains for this one. So you'll continue along in this round, working 1 double crochet in each chain or stitch until you get back around here. Okay, just to be clear, which I didn't mention, if you had changed to triple crochet for this area, just to give yourself a little bit more area for the ears, then you're changing back to double crochet here. Okay, this is a double crochet round or row. Okay, so once you get down to the end of this row, just remember that you're working into the chain as well, because we're counting that as a stitch. So remember to work into the top of that chain. Okay, so there you have your bonnet, but you've got the option. Okay, so in this one I went for an extra row here, but I actually think I'm not going to do that for this one. I'm actually going to stop here, stop my double crochet rows here, so where I've stopped here, and I'm just going to add my single crochet row here. I added that extra double crochet row just to give myself a little bit of space for the sewing, but I actually think I don't need it. And it makes it a little bit big for Melba by adding this extra row. So what you could do, depending on how wide you want it, you could just add 1 more row of single crochet, or you could add 2 rows of single crochet and just leave out this double crochet row. So you'll have to work out how wide you want this part in front of the ears, and so you can tailor the stitches depending on that width. So I'm going to go straight to a single crochet row here, and you can continue with another double crochet row if you want to. So just now you can just not count your chain, or you can continue to count your chain as a stitch, but for single crochets you probably want to just not count your chain as a stitch. So I'm just going to place 1 single crochet in each of these stitches all the way to the end here, and then I'll see where I'm at with my sizing, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be fine, just because I know that with this last one it's just slightly big for Melba with this extra double crochet row. But you could just add 2 single crochet rows if you want a little bit of extra width. But I'll see how I go when I get to the end of this row. So I'll see you at the end. Okay, so there's my main hat done. So just once again a reminder to make sure you work into that last chain at the end there. And then you can just yarn over and pull through and tie off here. Okay, and then you can weave in your end here. So let's just quickly do one of these on camera. Okay, I've got my needle threaded there, so we just can weave in this end on the inside here. So you'll go ahead and weave in both of your tail ends. And then we'll come back and we'll make the little ties. Now I'm going to show you what I do with this hat for the ties. I'm just going to add a little braided tie. So snip off your excess and go ahead and weave in your second tie if you want to now. And then I'll come back and we'll make the little ties. Okay, so you've got your main bonnet done. And now we're going to make the little ties. So you want to take 3 strands of about 60 centimeters long. Okay, So you just measure your first one and then take 3 strands and snip off the end, and then just snip the loops. Okay, so take your crochet hook, and I'll just show you this first one and then I'll work the second one off camera. So you'll just insert your hook into that last stitch, and then you will pull through the strands. So I've just folded those strands in half, and you'll just pull through the strands, and then you'll just, to tie this off, you'll just feed the ends of the strands through the loop and just tie that on at the base there. And then we're just going to do a simple plait. So divide it into 3 sets of 2 strands. So if you wanted thicker, thicker plait, you could do extra strands if you want to. You just need a multiple that divides into 3, and then you'll just make a simple plait all the way down. So just a little braid. Okay, so I'll finish off braiding that off camera, and I'll see you once I get down to the end. Okay, so once you're down at the end of your strand, you'll just hold that tight and tie a knot at the base, just a simple knot. Pull those strands through. So of course, if you wanted longer ties than what I've made, mine are, I measure my strands at 60 centimeters, but if you want to do them, so actually, sorry, just pull that knot right down to the base of the braid. So if you wanted longer strands, you could of course measure out more than 60 centimeters, but sort of probably minimum 60 centimeters. And then you just will even up those strands, so you've got your little tassel at the end, and then of course you'll make a second one, and so I'll do that off camera, and yeah, I'll see you shortly. Okay, so there I've got both my ties done. So now we're going to move on to making the antlers. Okay, so to make the antlers, you'll make obviously 2 antlers, but we're going to, within each antler we've got to make 2 sections, okay, and then we join them together, so you'll see what I mean. So make a magic ring, and into your magic ring place 6 single crochets. Now I don't tend to chain with single crochets in my magic ring, but you can make a chain first if you want to. It doesn't count as a stitch. So that's 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. Okay, and then pull that close. Now we're just going to be working in a spiral, so if you need a stitch marker here, that could be a good idea. I'm not going to use one because I'm just going to count 6 stitches. It's nice and easy to keep track of. So we're just going to work in a spiral, meaning we're not going to join at the end of each round. So this is our round 1, and we're going to make 3 more rounds of 1 single crochet in each stitch. Okay, so that'll be a total of 4 rounds. So find your first stitch and just keep a count, okay? So count your 6. So that's 1. So they're just single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you can just use a stitch marker in your last stitch just to keep track of it if you want to. And I'm just going to go around those 6 stitches 3 times. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 more rounds, and you do the same, and I'll meet you once I've done that. Okay, so you'll end up, after that, the end of that 4th round, you'll end up with something that looks a little bit like this, and you might have to pop it in the right way, and also just put your tail end in there. Okay, so stuff that in. Now, you're going to have the option of stuffing these antlers anyway. I'm not going to do that, just because I want them to be lighter, so they don't place too much weight on the hat. So I haven't stuffed these. They hold their shape pretty well, as you can see. So I'm not going to stuff mine, and I just stuff them with my tail ends. And yeah, that seems to be enough. If you want to, stuff your antlers, then definitely do that. So that's one, and we're going to make 4 of these. So go ahead and make 3 more, exactly the same as this. On your last 2. Well, actually, let's just make 1 more for now, okay? And then we're going to repeat the process for the antlers, but we're ultimately going to need 4. But we'll tie off on this one, okay? And we'll tie off on the first one. So just tie off and snip. And then we won't be tying off the second one, okay? Because we will join them together. So go ahead and make another one of those, and then I'll show you how we'll join them together. And then ultimately we'll end up making 4 of those. Okay, 2 that you'll tie off and 2 that you won't. Okay, so go ahead and make 1 more of these, and I'll do the same off camera, and I'll see you shortly. Okay, so I've made my second one there, and I'm not going to tie off. So we're going to join these 2 together. So you're on your last stitch here. So we're going to join it onto the first stitch here, okay? First stitch of this one. This can be a little bit fiddly, but we're just going to get those tails out of the way. We're just going to single crochet into that first stitch of the previous one. Okay, and then we've got that's our first stitch, and then we've got 12 more stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's our first round, 6. And then we'll move across to here, find that stitch there, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So there's our 12 stitches. Now you can take that moment to just stuff those tails in. You can use the end of your scissors or the end of your crochet hook, whatever works. So we'll just stuff those in. And then we're going to, so we've got to our 12 stitches, and we're going to reduce down to 6 stitches. So we're going to do a single crochet decrease in the next 12 stitches. So you can do it, there's 2 ways to do it, okay? I'll show you both ways, it's up to you. You can just do a normal single crochet decrease, which is like this. Insert your hook, pull up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through all 3. Okay, so that's one option. Or you can do it the amigurumi way, which it just hides the decreases a little bit more. So you pull up the front loop of the first stitch, and then the front loop of the second stitch, and then you just complete your single crochet like that. Okay, so one of those 2 methods, I'm going to continue with the amigurumi method. So you choose whichever way you want to do it. If you're familiar with just the normal single crochet decrease, that's also fine. And then you'll do 6 of those all the way around. So I'll meet you once I get round to my other side. Okay, so once you've done that, you've got this cute little thing that kind of looks like a heart. And then you're going to place 1 single crochet in each of the remaining 6 stitches for however long you want this part to be. So I'm going to go for 3 more rounds. So if you want slightly longer antlers, you make this part slightly longer. You go for, you know, an extra round or 2. If you want them, you know, quite short, and just bear in mind that you want them to be able to sit up nice and upright, then, you know, 2 to 3 rounds extra will be fine. So I'm going to go for 3 more rounds, and I'll meet you once I've done that. So that's 1 single crochet in each of your remaining 6 stitches. So actually, just to mention, those stitches can be quite small after your decreases, so just make sure that you're counting and that you have your 6 stitches. Okay, now you can use a stitch marker again if you need to. Okay, so I've got my first antler there, so I'm just going to yarn over and pull through and leave a long tail to allow you to sew the antler to the hat. So a nice long tail. So that's your first one, and then you'll go ahead and you'll repeat the same process to make your second antler. So I'm going to, of course, do that off camera, and I'll meet you once I've made my second antler. Okay, so I've got my 2 antlers there, and now we're going to move on to make the ears. Okay, so take your pink if you're using pink for the inside of the ears. Otherwise, you'll just use your main yarn colour and make a slip knot onto your hook. And then we're going to chain 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now, in that 4th chain from the hook, we're going to triple crochet. So yarn over twice, insert your hook, pull up a loop. So you've got 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's triple crochet. In the next 2 chains, double crochet. 1 and 2. And then in this last chain we're going to single crochet, but we're not going to finish it. Okay, so just pull up a loop and then take your main yarn colour and we're going to add a single crochet border to the ear. So just pull through your yarn on that last stitch. Okay, so then just tighten your ends. And then we're just going to, so moving around, we're going to place 1 single crochet in the chain, the loop of the chain that we haven't worked into, and make a single crochet. And then in the next chain, single crochet, the next single crochet. And then in these 3 at the top here, we're going to place two single crochets in each. Okay, so 2 in that first one, 2 in the next one. So this is you're working across the chain at the top here. 2 in the next. So you just want to shape your ear well. So you want 2 in these top chains here. 1 and 2. And then working down the other side, you can work into just the back loop if you want to, or you can work into both loops and just 1 single crochet down that side. Just need to pull my, and then just down on the edge here, right at the bottom. Single crochet, so you've come all the way around, and now you'll just slip stitch to that first stitch to join. So there you've got your little ear, and then you'll yarn over, pull through, and obviously leave a good amount of tail so you can weave, so you can sew on your ear, and snip that off. tight, and then you've just got these ends to weave into the back of the ear here. Just snip off my pink. So what I tend to do if I've got two ends close together like this, I just tie a little knot, not necessary, but just tie a little knot, and then you'll just weave in those ends into the back of your ear. So I'll do that off camera, and then of course you'll make a second ear, and yeah, I'll come back once I've done that. Okay, so we've got all our parts there. So we've got our two ears, two antlers, and our little hat. So now we're just going to sew on the, each piece to where we want it to be. So I tend to do the antlers first, but you can arrange this however you want to arrange it. So what I tend to do is put the antlers just at the corners here of the ear holes, so just forward of the ear holes in the corners, and then I'll place, like I did with this one, I'll place the ears just at the corner of the antler. So this is entirely up to you. If you've got a way that you want to do it that's a bit different to the way I'm going to do it, then go ahead. So you'll just thread your sewing needle, and I've got this sewing needle that's got a bit of a curve in it, so it makes it kind of easy once it's threaded. It makes it easy to sew, actually. See, it's got this kind of curve in it. So I'm going to let you go ahead and do this in your own way. And you just there's no right or wrong way to do it. You're just coming down into the hat and then up into the stitches. Okay, so I'm going to finish sewing on off camera, and yeah, you go ahead and do yours, and I'll meet you once I'm done. So just to quickly show you here, you can see I'm going into the hat and then up into the stitch, and just doing this simple sewing stitch. Okay, so yeah, like I said, definitely no right or wrong way to do this. And then once I'm done, I just, oops, it's gone through the ear. So then once I'm done, I just feed my yarn back through into the underside. And then I'll just take a little strand there, and I just tie off. So I just put the needle back through that loop and just tie off like that. And then I'll weave in that end under there. So that's the first antler done, and I'll move on to the ear. So let's just do a little bit of the ear together. So what you might need to do with the ear, so I just put it next to the antler like this. So what you might need to do with the ear is sew it from the top, but also make sure that it's quite well anchored down at the base, so on the underside. Now I'll show you on this other one. You can see I'm going to go back, and I'm actually going to anchor this down a little bit better on this side. So it needs to be anchored a little bit more here. So, because if you don't, it'll sit forward like this. Okay, see how these ones are sitting forward if I don't flatten them? So I'm actually going to go back with a piece of yarn, and I'm going to work this down a little bit more. So for these ones, just make sure that you're anchoring quite well up into the base of the ear on the back there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead again, do that off camera, and I'll see you soon. Okay, so you can see there how these ears are sitting much better than my previous ones, because I've just anchored it a bit more at the back there. So yeah, see you soon. Okay, so when I'm done, I'm just going to weave these two ends kind of close together, and then you can do a knot in the same way as you did previously. Just knot that at the back, and then I'm going to weave those two ends in together. Okay, so yeah, I'll sew on my other ear and antler, and I'll see you soon. Now, just one other thing to mention. So, to give your antlers the best chance of standing nice and upright, make sure that you're not sewing the antlers flat. You're sewing actually, around the base. So you've got the most surface area possible sewn. Okay. And that will help them stand up nice and well. Okay, so once that's on the head, that's going to stand up nicely. Okay, see you soon. Okay, so my main part of sewing is done there. I'll just let you know a couple of things about weaving in the end. So you can obviously weave in this colour into your main colour, and when you weave in your antler colour, if you want to make it super neat, then you can just go back up into the antler. Okay, and just pull that through, and then you can go back down. Just obviously don't pull too tight so you don't miss shape, and then you can just snip off that end, and then this one can be just woven in as normal. So I'll just finish those off, and we'll come back and finish off together. Okay, so all my ends are neatly woven in there, and we're done. And just to mention, if you can find one of these curved sewing needles, that makes sewing in these situations just so much easier. Just wanted to throw that in. Okay, so well done. So I'd love to see photos of your cat wearing his or her reindeer cat hat. So please send those along to catventurers.community@gmail.com, or you can tag us on social media at Catventurous Crochet. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Like I said, something a little bit different than the usual festive things, but this is super fun. So hope you've enjoyed it. Please like, share and subscribe, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye. You're awesome, Melba. Thanks, sweet pea. You're awesome. You want some treats? Yeah, okay. Let's get treats.